Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Levittown Public Library's Egoscue class with Kimberly. And we will be, today is Monday, June 7th. And take it away, Kim.
Thank you so much. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. Today, we're going, of course, the wind blew this sucker away from me. We're going to be doing a workout routine from Pete Egoscue's Pain Free for Women book. It's actually a routine that works for people who are over 50, but I use it and I get great results from it to realign. The great thing about this routine is we don't use so many tools as we normally do, straps and blocks and stuff, but we're going to show the body what it can do and let it realign itself. That's what Egoscue is all about. It's just posture. So for those of you that are new, we're going to be doing some things standing, things laying on the ground, things sitting, maybe even some stuff on hands and knees, but I'll do my best to give you as many modifications as I could think of. But just remember, if something doesn't work for you, if something doesn't feel right, then just skip the move. I'm going to move on pretty quickly anyway. So just give yourself a break if something doesn't work and just give yourself some time and I'll come along with something else. But don't give up on yourselves. I can't stress that enough. Don't give up on yourselves. I catch so many people, if one or two moves doesn't work, they decide the whole thing doesn't work. They throw the baby out with the bathwater. So please don't do that to yourselves. You might find something towards the end of the program that works splendidly for you. So where we're going to start today is actually standing. If you don't have a clear wall, you could stand using a door. I'm going to show everybody what hip distance is. Hip distance is usually the length of a dollar bill right between your hip bones. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter how many Krispy Kremes we eat or how much cheesecake. It's not the distance between your skin and flesh. It's actually through the joints. So straight out of hip distance should fall the center line of your knees and the center line of your ankles. So I want you to think about that when we take ourselves to the wall. We're going to stand at the wall for a few minutes. I want you to also point your feet straight ahead. Now our feet, they're not shaped like shoe boxes. They kind of have this wedge shape to them. So I want you to find the center line of your foot, which is usually between the second and third toe, and point that line straight ahead. To your eyes, it's going to look slightly pigeon-toed, and that's actually straight. So I'm bringing my heels to the wall, and we're just going to let the wall show our bodies or encourage our bodies to where straight is. Now, here's a little caveat. Some of you have a different shape on your behind or your back, and it actually forces you away from the wall. So you're doing something like this. If that's you, you can step away from the wall just a little bit so that you can get that beautiful stack, ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders. That's what we're looking for. So if you've got that different shape in your butt that's forcing you off of the wall, and you could feel that you're not stacking, your hips are coming out further, I want you to just walk away from the wall just an inch or so. We're just standing at the wall just for a couple of minutes, everybody. You might notice that one calf is touching the wall and the other one is not. Or one shoulder is touching the wall and the other is not. Or maybe your shoulders are on the wall and your butt isn't on the wall. Just notice the difference between left and right, what you feel. We're going to revisit this move later, and you're going to notice the changes that occur. This is a great routine. There are reasons for the sequence of exercises that I give you. There are goals that I'm going after during each portion of the workout. That's why you'll notice certain moves maybe towards the beginning of a sequence and other moves towards the middle or the end. There's a reason for that. Some moves you can intersperse anywhere. But the great thing about this routine is that if you really enjoy it and enjoy what it does for your body today, you can find it again in Pete Egoscue's Pain Free for Women. There's something called a library that has the book. It's an excellent book. It's really thick, really big. It has an enormous amount of routines in it. It's got routines for children, adults, young adults, teenagers, even moves for toddlers. Wonderful. We've been here for a couple of minutes and I'm actually starting to notice that my body is shifting its weight over. I'm not doing that on purpose. Just by trapping the body in certain positions, the muscles, the tissues, everything decides, oh, okay, we'll just adjust and adapt to this. And that's the great thing about Egoscue, is that we're not really forcing anything to do anything. That is not the premise of Egoscue. We don't yank, we don't force, we don't pull, we listen to the body. We give it stimulus and we let the body change the way it feels it needs to change. It's using the wisdom of the body. That keeps you in a nice safe bubble of being able to listen to your body, because everyone's different. And then you become a bit of an expert on what's going on within you. And that's the goal, putting you back in the driver's seat. This is my mean little book. I've kept all of my workouts throughout the years in this book. Sometimes I go off the top of my head, but today I wanted to do this specific menu. Some of these are really tough, but not this one. Today's a good one. Stay for one more minute, everybody. So this is usually maybe about a 4-minute move. You might notice it takes a little bit longer than a minute or two to get some change. Everybody notice that? Your things are starting to change, your weight's starting to shift, your feet feel different. I feel that both of my calves are now coming flatter against the wall. Before it was just one. I have a tendency to lean harder into my right leg because of what's going on with my left hip. So that's starting to balance itself out. Excellent. I want you guys to think about grabbing a chair or an ottoman. We're going to use that for something called the Wall Stork. And this one's a tough move. It's a tough move, but a lot of my clients love it because it's tough and the reaction they get out of the body after it. Now, you don't have to hold it for 3 minutes. We're going to hold it for 3 minutes each leg. If it's too much for you, then we could take the leg out. And I'll show you another way that you could possibly do this. But eye up a chair somewhere nearby, because you're going to move that chair over to where you are against the wall or at the door. Fantastic. Okay. This one is called Wall Stork. I'm just going to show it to you without the wall and without the chair at first. What we're going after is bringing one hip into flexion to a nice 90-degree angle. We're going to place the one leg on top of a chair that's going to be in front of you. But I want you to try your best to keep that same alignment we had when we were standing against the wall. So when I pick my leg up and put it on top of the chair, my leg isn't going out, my foot isn't coming in. I'm keeping it in that same vertical line. It's as if I picked my knee straight up towards my chest and just place it onto the chair in front of me. I'm doing this here because once I use my block, you're not going to be able to see as well. So what I'm using is similar to an ottoman. This is my static back block. You can use a chair from your kitchen, perhaps. But what we want to do is trap the body against the wall again. We're going to put one leg up on top of the chair at a nice 90-degree angle, make sure the foot stays straight, and then we'll adjust from there. It's not an easy move. You do your best, everybody. The other way you can get this done, if some of you are having a really hard time picking the leg up, you can lay on your back and put one of the legs up on top of a chair and just let it rest. So that's another option that you can do. The other option is just don't do it for so long, because this is going to be a little toughy. So I'm trapping myself against the wall again. I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes because I'm going to hold for 3 minutes. You guys might be able to hold for 1, 2, 30 seconds. Who knows? My heel's on the wall. My other foot's going right up onto the chair. I'm trying to adhere to that nice 90-degree angle. And this seems really easy because I'm leaning really heavily into the straight leg. Here's where it's going to get challenging. I want you to shift your weight so that you're balancing your weight across both legs. The way I test that is, can I pick my foot up off of my chair? Not so easy anymore because I'm putting weight on this leg as well. The way that you need to do that is to shift your butt over towards the bent leg. So we want to load both hips evenly. When it feels like, oh my goodness, this is tough, you know you're doing it right. 3 minutes if you can handle it. I'll let you know when the first minute is up, everybody. This should feel like work. What we're doing here is we're separating both of your hips, and For some of us, we'll actually be able to get both sides of the pelvis to separate. They should be separable. They should move independently, even though they're part of a whole, right? But they should move. This is similar to a walking situation. So that's what we're mimicking with this move. We're retraining your legs how to load, one in flexion, the other one in extension. Granted, you're going to feel a lot of work on the leg that's straight, but there should also be work on the leg that's bent. So if you're leaning really heavy into that straight leg, slide your butt over so the bent leg does the work as well. Good thing I got my fan on. It's hot up here. Okay, we have just passed our first minute. Just past our first minute. You should feel some work in the butt on your bent leg. If you put your hand on your butt, you should feel like, a little bit of tension there. Muscles contracting. Might even feel something in your hamstring. That's down the back of your leg. On the leg that's straight, you're going to feel a lot of quadricep, 4 muscles that make up the front part of your thigh. Here's another thing. I catch a lot of you. You have a hip that just kind of forgot how to load. So you kind of sit it out to the side because it forgot. So this is what I like to do here. I'll sit it out to the side on purpose, and then I correct it. And then all sorts of muscles start to turn on around the hip. So that's another way to kind of clean up your form. We're almost passing our second minute, everybody. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes full. Notice I'm not using my hands to lean on my leg. What we're doing is we're getting the hips to become the driver of our bodies. Our arms should not be our drivers. So when you notice, oh my goodness, I really want to lean on my leg, then you know that the muscles around your hips and your legs have gotten themselves to such a weakened state, they're recruiting the upper body to kind of help out because things down here have gotten a little weak. Past our second minute, everybody. We're hitting 2.5 minutes. I know you guys feel that work, because I do too. This is called Wall Stork. I do have one client, he started out doing this for about 20 to 30 seconds. He built himself up to a minute, and we've even gotten 2 minutes one leg, 2 minutes another leg. We'll switch back and forth so he can finally get up to 3 minutes. But it's a bit of a build. 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Everybody ready for the other side? You might have felt that in your calf, in your quad, whole leg doing work. Okay, again, we're going to switch to the other side. I'm actually going to show you this from the side this time. So I'm trapping my left leg against the wall. Make sure that when you put the other leg up on top of the chair, and when you put it up, it stays in that 90-degree angle. You don't want it coming in. You don't want it coming out. Keep it in that beautiful 90-degree angle. Here we go. Feet are still hip distance apart. Still hip distance apart. I'm leaning pretty heavy in my left leg because I could lift my right leg up like it's no big deal. So I'm going to shift my butt over. And there's the work. Timer starts. Just like I showed you before, I'm going to sit my hip out like I'm putting a baby on it for all you ladies. And then I'm going to correct it. Whew. That's just a little bit of an advanced move for you sticklers for form. That's me. I am a stickler for form. Oh boy, I just noticed I was out of alignment a little bit. So it's all right to look down and make sure that everything looks straight and square. Oh, that turned on a new muscle. Okay, good. It might feel easier on this side for you. We just passed our first minute. It might feel harder on this side for you. For me, this actually feels harder. My left leg, because of the position of my hip and pelvis, is in a very different state than my right leg. So moves feel different left side to right side. Again, if this is too much work, you can lay down on your back and you could put one leg up onto a chair or the couch and just rest in this position. Or you can do less time. This is not an easy move, but it is a necessary move. And it is in the over 50 Restore menu in Pain Free for Women by Pete Agostia. Excellent menu. I love it. Great. We got one more minute, even less now. Make sure you're not light on your bent leg. That leg should have a good amount of weight into it, pressing into the chair. That's because of the position of your butt. You slid your butt over so your hips are in line with your knees. We are reteaching both hips and both sides of your pelvis to load. Wow, that is work. Lovely. We're going to continue using the wall or a door, whatever it is that you're using, and take that chair aside. We're going to do wall presses. So we're going to work into the shoulders, into ouch, taking my feet against the wall, just like I did for our first move. And we're going to change the position of the head while we do this, everybody. So to start out, we're going to keep the head facing forward. I'm going to take my arms out to 45 degrees with my palms facing forward. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together into the wall. This is very different than lifting my sternum. I'm not moving from my spine. I'm moving from my shoulder blades. And I'm just going to get a little bit closer to the camera so you guys might be able to see the difference. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together. Squeeze, release. Both shoulder blades are gliding together in towards my spine. I'm not lifting my sternum. So I want you guys to try and feel that difference. Sometimes you have to give less effort in order to get the right muscles to turn on. So I'm trapped against the wall, palms face forward, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Just squeezing and releasing. That's all I'm doing here. I do have some clients that cannot move at all in their shoulder blades. So if you feel like, wow, nothing's happening, it's okay. It's all right. Sometimes it takes the muscles a while to remember how to function. We're going to change the position of the head, everybody. I want you to bring your head down so the chin comes towards your chest. And we're going to continue with the shoulder blade squeezes. Scapular retraction. Retract, release. Retract, release. We're going to bring the head forward again, everybody, and we're going to change the position of the hands. Now I'm going to go palms against the wall. Palms are against the wall, head's looking forward. Squeeze, release. We're going to bring the chin towards the chest and continue with the palms against the wall, shoulder blade retractions. Head drops, squeeze, release. Some people can't stand up and can't stand against the wall. You could do this sitting in a chair, no big deal. Absolutely can sit in a chair and do shoulder blade retractions. I have a client, she's in a wheelchair. I do get her to stand and walk. We're trying to gain her strength back again. But we do this sitting sometimes. Wonderful. We're going to do some standing arm circles. Some of you have been with me for a while. You know that there's different positions we can do arm circles in. You can stand, you can sit, you can kneel, you can even come into sitting floor position. For those of you that are new, I have to show you the hand position. Now we're going to take the palms together, and then make a fist, and then flatten the fist. This is the grip that I'm taking with my hands. It's not easy for everybody. Some of you got some stuff going on with your fingers, so it might look a little funny, but do your best to keep this grip. I'm going to demonstrate standing arm circles. So I'm going to keep my feet pointed straight ahead, just like I did at the wall earlier. I'm going to bring the arms out. No, first, keep the grip, keep them at the side, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Then bring your arms out. That's going to try and nip in the bud any form that you might be losing. I'm going to circle up and forward 40 times. Relax your belly. Let your belly hang out. What we're doing is we're perturbing the upper body. And if you keep your abdominal section relaxed, it's going to force work into your hips. But if you suck in your belly, it's going to stop that work from taking place. So just let it hang out. I'm still keeping my shoulder blades retracted. Some of you have shoulder issues. I used to. I'm still working on it. You might have to bring your arms lower to do the circles. Maybe you have to skip it completely. I don't know. We're going to circle backwards. So I keep my grip, squeeze my shoulder blades together, arms up, palms up, circle up and back. Ooh, that was a little interesting for me. It's not bad pain. It's just stretch and pulling after all the surgery that went on in there. So I know the difference between my sensations. I hope you can figure that out as well for yourself. The difference between good pain and bad pain. Important to know. And relax. We're going to do standing forward bend. I'm going to give you the harder version of it, everybody. I am going to use my ottoman or my chair. You can even use a countertop to help you out. What I'm going to do is show you what's going to happen to your hips that I want you to avoid. So if I go to bend over and touch my toes, watch the position of my hips as they relate to my heels. You see how my hips shifted backward? So I'm no longer in that vertical stack. For this move, you want to keep that vertical stack. So that's why I need something in front of me to bring my hips back over my heels. Do you see what I did? So if I didn't have this here and I let it go, I would fall forward. That's what you want to feel during this move. We're going to do this with a spread foot though. So you're going to split your legs open wide enough so it feels like a challenge, but stay in control. Some of you might have to go this wide. Maybe. So go wide enough so you stay in control. Keep your feet on the train track so they point straight ahead. They're parallel. We're going to hold it for 1 minute. I set my timer to 1 because I don't want to cheat. So I'm going to turn this into a spread foot forward fold. Remember, when you bend over to touch your toes, your hips are going to go back. Walk your hands forward until you feel, whoop, I've got some weight on my hands. Start the timer. Try to put a little arch into your lower back as well. So instead of rounding this way, come in this direction. Keep both of your thigh muscles tight, everybody. That's going to force your hips to work a little differently. This should feel like work, not just a stretch. There's more going on here. In fact, yes, I can touch the floor. You might not be able to, but don't try to touch the floor if you start to round your back. Then you're losing form. Stay high if you have to. I want you to keep that nice arch in your lower back. We got 20 more seconds left to go, everybody. Thighs tight, both thighs, stay tight. Feet stay parallel. You want to make it so that your legs are doing most of this work to hold you up. So if I really wanted to, I could take my fingers off the ground and I could still kind of hang on a little bit. Wonderful. We're going to come out of this and do some cats and dogs. You have the option to do cats and dogs sitting in a chair, or you can do them on hands and knees. I'm going to hands and knees, but I'll show you how to do them in a chair. Arch, round, arch, round. There's your cats and dogs sitting in a chair. I'm going for the floor though. When you take it to the floor, put your hands right underneath your shoulders and put your knees right underneath your hips. About a fist distance between your knees, everybody. Move from your hips first, let your shoulders follow, and then the head is the last thing to move. You guys are gonna love the next move. It's amazing. They stuck static back right in the middle of this whole routine. I usually don't do static back in the middle of a routine. I'll put it in the beginning and I'll finish out with something strong. But you'll get a chance to see what your static back feels like in the middle of a routine. Mostly, we've done static back in the beginning. So for those of you that have been with me, you know what your body feels like right off the bat. Now you're going to get a chance to see what all those moves have done, and you'll feel the static back in the middle. Static back is laying on your back and putting your legs up on top of a 90-degree surface. We're trapping the body in a 90-degree angle. You can do this laying on a bed, but if you can get onto the floor, my suggestion is to get on the floor. Reason for that is the floor is nice and flat. It's going to trap you. A bed has a little bit too much give. It's not the worst. Some people might be bedridden. Maybe. I'm going to hang out here for 3 minutes. No, it's not a full 5 minutes. You can do 5 minutes if you wanted to. I'm going to take my arms out to 45 degrees. And the palms are going to go up. If you notice your shoulders are really rounded forward and your head is still pointed backwards away from you, go ahead and put a pillow underneath your head. That's going to take the tension out of your neck, and it's going to cause your shoulders to relax a little bit quicker. So if you got so much tension in your neck from your head looking behind you, the shoulders are going to say, no, I'm not going to relax. Too much tension. So use a pillow if you need to. If you notice, the position that I'm in, if you were to turn me 90 degrees so my nose was facing out the window, I would look like I'm sitting. So if you want, and you're not able to get on the floor, you don't have a bed, you can trap yourself in a chair. Just walk your tailbone all the way back into your chair, or put an ottoman against the wall, walk your tailbone all the way back so the wall is holding you in place. So the floor can be the wall. Just leave your legs at 90 degrees and sit there for a few minutes. If I use this move as the first move of my routine, my pelvis is in a rotated position. So one side I can feel in the floor, the other side is lifted, one shoulder is off the floor. Now that I already did a routine, I come to static back, everything feels flatter, more symmetrical. I hope you guys are noticing a difference as well if you've done static back with me in the past. Oh, this is a nice, easy routine. Good, because it's hot today. It's hot up here. We're going to stay in the static back position for the next couple of moves. But if you chose to sit in a chair for this, you can do these moves sitting in a chair as well. It's not going to look the same, and it might be loading a little bit differently, but it's not going to kill you to do it sitting in a chair. That's okay too. And I lied that we're not going to be using tools today. We're going to use a pillow or a block 2 moves from now. I happen to have something nearby. Sorry if you have to get up and get back down again, but that's part of life. I'm going to leave this nearby. a block or a pillow of some sort. The move after this next one, we're going to use that to press into with our hands just a little bit. But here's our first move. You're going to reach your arms straight up towards the sky. Keep the elbows straight. My palms are touching. Interlace my fingers. We're going to do pullovers in the static back position. The point of this is to keep your elbows straight because we're retraining the shoulders, your back, and your hips to go through this range of motion. They need to coordinate. I used to be able to get my hands down to the floor, and now I can't due to the restriction in my left shoulder. But I don't want you guys to cheat by feeling a restriction somewhere, like I am, and then bending your elbows and wrists to touch the floor. That's a no-no. Keep your elbows straight. We need to re-teach and re-educate the shoulders and your back how to go through this range of motion. That's not going to happen if you cheat by bending your elbows. Yes, the goal is to get to the floor, but don't turn that into, I've got to get there no matter what, because you're going to lose your form. Losing your form means you're not going to retrain your muscles properly, and the tissues are not going to come along for the ride. So just be easy on yourself. The more repetitions we do here, the body slowly reminds itself, okay, recruit these fibers. Now recruit these fibers. That's why Egoscue can be so gentle and so powerful, because we're not forcing anything. We're re-educating. I just got this idea in my head of the education that my mom got. She was taught by nuns. I'm sure many of you can relate. And I'm laughing, but I'm sure it wasn't funny when she was kneeling on pencils. And I've asked other people, did you ever have to kneel on pencils? They said no. They got their hair pulled, they got their hands smacked, but they never had to kneel on pencils. They made my mother kneel on pencils. That's just insane. Oh my goodness. And go through a few more of these. Really pay attention to your elbows, everybody. You've got to keep them straight. As long as the elbows stay straight, all of this work is going to go into the shoulder and into the back. We're going to move on to pullover presses. That's why I said you got to go grab yourself a pillow. Sorry that I lied. I'm going to put this block or a pillow right behind me. Wow, I can't even reach it. Okay, so I have to turn it up. There we go. Okay, you want to put it in a position where your elbows can stay straight, but you can actually rest your fists on top of it. So you might need a couple of pillows. You might need a set of books. You could put a book, big book behind you. So you don't want your elbows to come bend. You want them to stay straight. So that's why I turned this block up, because my left shoulder restricts me. So we're going to leave the elbow straight, leave the fists together, interlaced, and leave them on your block or your book or your pillow. Put pressure into the block, book, or pillow, and then release. You're going to feel all this work come down into your back. Push, release. Elbows nice and straight, ladies and gentlemen. Push, release. Push, release. Now, I said you can get this done while you're sitting in a chair. Absolutely. You'll just be lifting your hands overhead. Now, this is going to be interesting to do this pullover push against the wall while you're sitting in a chair. So just continue doing your pullovers like you were before. Hands come overhead and back down in front of your chest. So if you're not on the floor like me, just continue sitting in a chair, moving through your shoulders. That's all we're doing, everybody. If your hands do make it to the wall, you can push your hands onto the wall. You'll still be turning on the same muscles. It's just in a different load with gravity, that's all. Oh, goodness, I haven't touched on this move since I've had my surgery. This is hard. Everybody else feel how hard this is? Or is it just me? Whew. And my left arm is, whew. But it's not bad pain. It just feels like workout, weakness. I have to build that strength, so I'm okay with it. Put pressure into the block and release. Put pressure and release. Elbows stay straight now. I'm going to do a few more. It is hard to keep my left elbow straight. If you guys notice that you've got a shoulder issue or a restriction, your elbow is going to want to bend. It's going to want to bend because the body is saying, well, shoulder doesn't want to do this. Let's recruit different muscles to help it. So I want you to keep your elbow straight and force the body to keep recruiting the right muscles for the job. You wouldn't use a screwdriver for a job for a hammer, would you? That's what we're doing. We're gently reminding the body what muscles are supposed to be used to do this. That's our design. Lovely, everybody. Wow, so much weakness. I have to use my other hand to pick my arm up. So funny. We're going to move back into the feet. Now, if you guys have never done foot circles, point flexes in static back position, give it a try. You'll find that it's harder in some ways and easier than others. There's actually a different load that goes on in the hips when you do the foot circles. But I want to actually take my legs out of static back and give myself a different version of this. So you have your choice. Either leave your legs there or come along with me for the ride. I'm going to leave my left leg straight out on the floor. And I'm going to pull my right knee in towards my chest. If you have a hard time doing this, you can take a strap around your leg and hold on to the strap. Some of you can't pull your leg in so deep. But I am adhering to those 90-degree rules. So my legs are staying in line with my hips. Ankle, knee, and hips still stay in that same straight line. Don't let your knee come out to the side if you're doing this with me. Otherwise, you can stay in static back and do the same moves with your ankles. So this is foot circles, point flexes. I hug my knee in deeply. My left leg, toes are pointed to the sky. I'm taking my right ankle through an outward rotation. A lot of you whose ankles forgot how to work in conjunction with your hips, you let this movement come through your knee. No, knee stays put. That's why I put my hands behind my knee to allow my body to actually move through the knee if it's going to, and then I stop it. Because I want to see if my body's compensating or not. You can put your hands on top of the knee. It's not going to kill you, but I want you to try to use the muscles of your leg to hold the leg in position. So I'm just taking a big wide ankle circle through my ankle. Let your toes pull you through. So you want your toes to move as well. We're going to go for 40 circles in each direction, and then we're going to go for 40-point flexes. If this is too much for you to do them in sets of 10 or 20. You can even switch. Oh, that's too much. Oh, I got to go the other leg. That's okay. Go back and forth. I already told you how many we're going to do. So switch back and forth as you need to. This is not an easy move, especially for muscles that forgot how to work. You'll feel burning in your shin. You'll feel burning in your calf and your ankle. You might get cramping. Circle the other way. Taking an inward circle. This is usually the more difficult direction. Feel clicking, feel crunching. That's just some stuff out of alignment, joints, tendons rolling over cartilage. It's a lot of different stuff. As long as you're not feeling pain, all is well. Wow, this one's getting tired. Usually my left one gets tired. Now my right one's getting tired today. Make sure you're not moving through your knee. And the leg that's laying on the floor, you want to keep it straight. So I'm just pointing my kneecap and my toes towards the sky. I'm not letting it rest and letting it fall out to the side. My toes and my kneecap point to the sky. Fantastic. We're going to move on to the point flexes. I point my toes away from me through my ankle, and I pull my toes towards me through my ankle. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. If you thought you were tired before, you're going to get even more tired now. This move can be done with shoes on, but it's best to do it without them. Many of us were put into shoes way too early anyway, and it impeded our function as we were growing. Our development was stymied I think if you look up on my blog, well, it's still up for the foot dysfunction. You'll see a video that I added of this young little girl. She's beyond a toddler. And I saw the posture of her legs and her feet, and I went, oh my goodness. She was put into shoes way too soon. Both of her knees turn in, both of her feet turn out. Incredible. Switch. Incredible. She's a sassy little girl, but I wasn't paying attention to her sass. I was paying attention to, oh, wow, she's going to have some problems. I hope not, but I see them coming down the road. So her development was really stymied. She was put into shoes too soon. Make sure that leg that's straight on the floor. I just caught myself resting and the foot was falling out. Toes point to the sky. You don't have to dorsiflex hard to do that. Just use your hip muscles to keep the whole femur straight. So I'm keeping my upper thigh bone and my kneecap pointing to the sky using my hip. This move does not have to be done on the floor, everybody. You can get this move done sitting in a chair. If you're stuck in a chair, pull your knee in towards your chest or just bend the knee. Leave your other leg straight or just do what you can. I don't care if both legs are straight. I just showed you how to do this in static back. You'll be laying in static back doing this, or you can do it this way. Just get something done. Get creative. Inward circles. Yeah, this one's tough. It's tough to mentally coordinate. I feel my knees starting to swing. I'm sure you guys are getting a similar experience. Maybe on the other leg. I can't even talk while I'm doing this. It's too much mental effort because I know it does not want to do a full circle. Try it. A lot of crunching, that's okay. I was put into shoes very early as well because I was walking. But you know what parents like to do, like to hold the kids' hands and encourage them to walk. Walking too soon, the rest of the muscles weren't developed yet. So my ankle started collapsing and I was always tearing tendons, even ligaments. So now my ankles are a little funny looking. That's what happens. You don't crawl long enough. It's a whole section about that in the book, Pain Free for Women. All right, point flex, everybody. Point the toes away. Gosh, this is hard for me today. Woo, that's a burn. Point flex, point flex. Try not to let your heel drop towards your butt, everybody. If you do that, you're going to start turning off muscles. I want you to try to keep the shin parallel to the floor. Sorry, I didn't point that out. Little nuances that I know about some of these moves that I just forget to go over. You keep that shin parallel, you start feeling this work come up into your hip. That's what we're going after here. Surface point flexes. These are tough. Very nice, everybody. I'm tired. I'm coming up. We're going to take ourselves back against the wall again. Even though this routine is through, I'm going to give you more work after this. This is a very nice routine. We're coming back to the wall where we started. This is going to give you a chance to feel what changes your body went through. So if you remember what the wall felt like when you first got on it, now you can get a bit of another feel. Oh, wow. It's like a glove right against the wall. I feel both of my shoulder blades on the wall. Before one was pointing out, one was, wow, right on the wall. Anybody else feel that difference? I'm sure you do. I'm going to stand here for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to give you some harder moves to strengthen the realignment that our body has experienced. Stay here for a few minutes. I'm going to come up with some ideas that I can give you, hit you nice and hard. Moves that I like to finish with are usually bilateral moves. You can finish with some unilateral moves. Unilateral means one-sided, bilateral means both sides. So right now, this is a bilateral move because both sides look even. If I were to do something that was more asymmetrical, it would be a unilateral move. I like to finish with some bilateral moves like air bench or standing at wall. Some moves that are also vertically loading. I'd like to do that because we're going to spend the rest of our day usually standing or sitting. So I want to finish out with a move where gravity is pulling head down. We could do air bench. Even a downward facing dog would be okay. Cats and dogs, that's a good one. That loads both hips and both shoulders. You can do, I like to finish with windmills sometimes. Maybe we'll do a little bit of all of them. I think that's what we'll do. Wow, the body's still changing. It's still shifting. There's little changes happening. Interesting. Arm circles are a bilateral move. Elbow curls in any position, bilateral move. I'm going to give you guys, let's do triangle. And then we'll do something else. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, let me set my timer. We're going to hold triangle for 1 minute. If that's too much for you to hold, we'll hold it for less. You just do what you can. Triangle utilizes a nice flat wall. But as you can see, I've got the baseboard here, so I can't put my heels on the wall. So I'm going to use an imaginary wall. You guys might be right there with me. Imaginary wall. We come out into this nice split position, but then we're going to turn one of our feet in one direction. I'm going to keep the feet perpendicular. So I'm going to work on my left leg first. My feet start out parallel. Now I'm going to point my left foot towards the wall on my left. So if there was an imaginary line coming back from my left heel, it would cut my right foot in half. In half. So that's where you want the placement of your feet. And you can see my hips are already starting to rotate. So they're getting tight and they don't want to load. Think about that imaginary wall behind you. Draw everything to the wall. Hip, shoulders, everything. We're not going to bend the knees in this move. Instead, we're going to sit into the right hip. So like you have a baby on your side. Sit into the right hip. And you notice my torso is already leaning to the left. Everybody feel all that weight on your left leg? We're going to hold that there. I'm leaning over, everything on my imaginary wall. Hands, shoulders, butt, everything on the imaginary wall. You don't have to stand as wide as I am. The wider you go, the more challenging it's going to be. Remember how I was talking about my ankles that like to collapse in? I get a good shot at what my ankle's doing right here. I could see it. So if it likes to collapse in, I'm actually using my hip muscles to rotate and make sure my ankle is pointing straight over my toes. My knee has a tendency to rotate in as well. So I'm using my muscles, trying to hold that form nice and straight. Knee, ankle, point straight ahead. Come on out. That was a minute, everybody. We're going to do the other side. I start out with my feet parallel. I'm in a nice wide stance. I'm in control. I'm going to point my right foot towards the right. So it opens like a door. Right foot's pointing this way. Left foot's pointing straight ahead. Imaginary wall, everybody. Draw everything to it. Left butt cheek, shoulders. 1 minute. Here we go. Sit your hip out and lean. I do have a blog written about the actual triangle move itself and all the nuances about it. You can look it up, check it out, see how to perform this move. Get a little bit of my sarcasm. Ooh, my left shoulder is saying this is tough. It's hard. You get a good look at your ankle here. Everybody get a good look at your knee. If it starts to point in, just use your eyes. Does it look like it's pointing straight? Is it tracking straight? Is your knee tracking over your ankle? Is your foot straight? Clean it up. A strong move like this is going to hold for a while, maybe for the whole day, maybe for the next few days. Come on out. Oh, one more move, everybody. So that was a unilateral move. We did something different on one side than the other. Now we're going to come to a bilateral move. Let's take it into an air bench. We're going to hold it for 2 minutes. If you can't hold 2 minutes, don't worry about it. Air bench is. I'm going to put my back against the wall. You can use a door, but make sure the door is in the closed position. You don't want to lean against a door that if the latch is faulty, it'll open and you'll fall through it. So get on the side of the door that if the door does open, you won't fall through. In air bench, you don't have to go low, but I do want your heels out further than your knees. It's not a 90-degree angle. Not a 90-degree angle. I'm going to turn to show you what you do in the front. Feet are hip distance. Don't let your knees fall out. Don't let your knees fall in. Have a hard time with that? Put a block or a pillow in between your knees. That'll hold them tracking straight. So I'm going to come down as low as I feel comfortable, where the challenge is for me. If you start feeling knee pain, just slide your hips higher up the wall. We're going to hold this one for 2 minutes. I'm using my leg muscles to push both of my femurs, that's my upper thigh bone, into my pelvis. This is forcing, using muscle strength, both sides of my pelvis to go against the wall. I'm pushing my lower back into the wall using my legs. So if I had my hand on your lower back, I would want you to smash it using your muscles. Definitely don't do this in socks on the floor. Either put sneakers on or take your socks off and go barefoot like I am. Again, if you've got knee pain, slide yourself up higher. Make sure your knees are tracking straight ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you who show up with an anterior tilt, you already have a nice curve in your lower back. You might have to tuck your tailbone under just a little bit to get the lower back to hit the wall. Once it does, use your thigh muscles to push into the wall. First minute is done. We're holding for 1 more minute, everybody. 1 more minute. Woo! I hope everybody feels that right here in your quadriceps, the thighs, where you should be feeling all this work. You are pushing into the wall with force. Believe it or not, this can be a great go-to for some people who have headaches. A great go-to. It's a strong enough move to realign the pelvis. A lot of times the way that people get headaches, positional headaches, is because their spine isn't in the right position and it messes with blood flow and all sorts of different things. So if you have positional headaches, there you go. Could also have a headache because you're not drinking enough water. Make sure you guys are nice and hydrated. My thighs are burning. 8 seconds. Come on, everybody. We can do this. 2 minutes. You made it, everybody. Oh, I haven't had enough thigh workout. All right. I think that does it for us today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that workout. Again, if you want to revisit that, I got that from Pain Free for Women by Pete Agosky. You can pick that up in the library. And that is the over 50 Restore menu. I love it. It's an excellent menu. Thank you guys for being with me. I'll see you next week. Got any comments or anything? Leave it on the YouTube video. Other than that, I'll see ya. Thanks for joining me.